Hi, I'm Mustang and I am a game developer, and I spent so long trying to get this camera to be set up this way that I forgot what I was actually going to talk about in this video. But you know what I enjoy doing? I enjoy talking and then letting the conversation take its own natural course of direction. So I'm just going to be talking and I'll see where that leads. So this will be the first video, I believe. I don't believe, I know. This will be the first video with my face and with me actually having a discussion in this channel. I used to make YouTube videos back in the day, between 2015 to 2022. I used to make gaming videos and I kind of dropped that. I felt like there wasn't, I kept it to myself. It's not out there in the public anymore because at this point it just feels like a nice collection of fun times I had with friends. Since then, my approach of how to connect with the internet has been different, and I have now taken game dev more seriously. And since then, I have now worked on 3 video games, 3 indie games, and there's a lot more wisdom and insight and understanding that I have gotten in this field, which I felt could be useful to talk about on my channel and impart the knowledge that I have gotten. I started game dev around 2015. That's when I went to college to study it. And 3 years later, I didn't learn too much, except that it's a painstaking process. After which, in the next couple of years, I released my first video game, and it did alright. I wasn't expecting a big thing to come out of it. It was my first game. I had very low expectations, and it seemed to be fun for a lot of my friends, so it was a success to me. As I kept making more games, as I worked on more horror games, and I won't go too in depth about what games I worked on, because this isn't a video about me promoting my video games. It's more about me talking about what it's like to be a game developer. I realized that I had to be very realistic about my definitions of successful. So for my first game, my definition of successful was that if I make back the money that I spent on it, then it's a success. And sure, in a way I did. It took me a while. And that also only counts if I didn't include how many months I spend on it. Like if I were to ever include a game developer salary as my definition of like profits or budget, then none of my games would be a success, really, because that costs a lot. I still live with my parents, and that has helped me not have to worry about a salary, really. I used that opportunity to make games on my own, to be able to focus on just what I like doing, which is making games. And where that interest came from is curiosity. Video games are one of the best things I've ever been able to experience in my life. I spent a long time in my room, in my entire life, really. And one of the ways I was able to connect with worlds from different places, imaginary or inspired by real stuff like, historical games and such, was through video games and movies, but it's the interactive part of video games that really made me feel more strongly connected to that medium. And when I had so much fun with it, this little part of my brain said, how are they made though? How do you make these? And that curiosity is what led me to this path. And now I have a pretty decent knowledge of how games are made. And it's in some ways not as complicated as I thought, but at the same time, a lot bigger than I would have expected. When I mean not as complicated, that's not to say that game development is simple. It's to say that I, in my head, had set a gigantic image of like, oh, you probably have to build an entire software from scratch. You probably have to learn every line of code. You probably need to know how a computer works. And in some ways, it's true. It depends on what game you're making, because a lot of games do have their own engines. But as time went by, I realized technology and the infrastructure for making video games has just gotten more accessible. And now making games isn't seen as big of a behemoth of a project as you would think. Which is good and bad in different ways, because I feel like game development should not be underestimated. But at the same time, if you want to make a game yourself, you shouldn't be seeing it as a big giant thing to do. It's actually a lot of smaller things to do. One of my most fun things about working on game dev is that if you're making a game by yourself, there are so many factors you need to work on that if you get tired working on a specific thing, let's say programming, you can just set that aside for a bit and work on art. And if you're tired of doing art, if you have an art block, then literally just do some research and watch videos on how other games like this are made. There are so many aspects within the realm of game dev that you can just jump between different jobs and pick the part that you enjoy. Now, with that said, I wouldn't say that it's simple either. When I had talked about the complicated thing and the bigger thing, because by big I don't just mean scale. Obviously, if you're making a game by yourself, scale it's a lot more overwhelming to do all of it from scratch, right? And that is, I'm saying scratch without including the need to make your own game engine, because if you have to do that, then that's even more time. When I mean bigger, I also mean how much of this project is going to be part of your life. Because if you're making games by yourself, it's very likely that you will be defined by it. Let's say your game was popular. Let's take Concerned Ape, for example. He's the guy who made Stardew Valley. I was going to give more examples, but I'm running out. My brain is having 20 things to talk about right now. But the point is that when you work on games like that, you are tied to that game at this point, to that project. You're like the author of that thing. And in that sense, it's big, because you won't be able to just so casually be like, oh yeah, I'm making this thing, oh yeah, it's a huge success, but I am just a guy who made it. No, you are the creator of that thing. It doesn't matter if your game is small or funny or goofy. You are now completely responsible for its completion or lack of it. If you drop it, you drop it. If you complete it, you complete it. But it's you. It's all on you. And that's not to scare you into thinking that, oh, you have to commit to this, because you don't have to. You can just drop whatever you worked on as well. My point is that its entire existence has to do with you, your actions. And in a way, that's awesome, because how often have you made things where you can be like, yeah, this whole thing just exists because I put my thoughts and actions into it. And so before I even got into game dev, I enjoyed creating, basically. And I enjoyed art. I enjoyed scribbling and drawing things and making up characters in my head. But it was fun. It was fun to just daydream and think of different stories. And the reason why I really wanted to go in this path of making games is because now I can create something and now you can be a part of it and you can interact with it. So I still feel like I'm on the tip of the iceberg with the kind of games that I can make. I've made 3 games and I spent quite a few years on them, on just making games. But I still have so many more engaging games that I want to make, because so far I've made like an experimental game and 2 horror games, and it's amazing. It's amazing to have people play a horror game and be scared. It's very Schadenfreude, I guess. I like to see people get scared playing my game. It's maybe a little evil, but it's fun. So I've had my share of that, and now I want to make something it has a longer story. It's a longer experience. I want to see people indulge in the thing I made and have their own theories and their own connection to it, because that just feels awesome. It's one of the best feelings after making a game and people playing it, is that you can see them having fun. You have entertained them successfully, and to me that's like the biggest honor, to be able to just have someone sit and enjoy the thing I made for a little while. They don't even need to know how important this thing is to me. That's not for them to worry much about. For them it's just a piece of game, right? And so the gamers that I really enjoy are the ones who are sincere with the games they play. If they play it casually, that's okay, but you can tell that they have an appreciation for the art. Not to sound like pretentious, but video games are art. And just like how there are casual movie watchers and then there are film critics or fanatics, it's the same for video games. And I, of course, as the person who is involved in this industry, have a lot of respect for people who have a deeper connection with said video games. Not that they need to have it, but there's a lot you can be motivated by when you see how deeply they talk about the things they like. And one of these days I would really love for one of my games to invoke that sort of feeling to someone. But I have so much love and respect for my friends who have supported me and my family who have supported me in making video games, because it's not a very lucrative business at all. But that's not what I want to chase anyway. I don't like, having money would be nice, and I am pretty sure that at some point it's going to get better for me. But I would want to reach there. It's not that I don't care about money, right? Of course I do. Finances help many things, right? It helps my health, my family, my motivation to do things, my scope of how much bigger projects I can work on. But I want to reach there by discovering things about myself and getting my skill set better and investing my passion into things that I enjoy making. And so it's a slow road, but it's the right road for me. And I hope when I talk about all of this, You're able to see how important this is to me, and I'm sure for many of you, this may be relatable to just feel so strongly about the form of art that you're interested in and to then chase it, because there will be many obstacles. There will be many days where you don't feel like you want to do anything. I am also a very flawed human being. I have art blocks. I doom scroll many nights. Um, I make bad decisions. I take too long on like a specific thing of the game. I can be too much of a perfectionist in things that don't matter. But it's all a learning process. Even the failures, they teach you so much. And despite all of that, despite days where I feel sad and tired, I still don't regret doing this, making games and continuing to make games. And if I'm not making a game, I might be drawing something. If I'm not drawing something, I might be role playing in Dungeons and Dragons. And if I'm not doing that, I would want to make a short film. But whatever I do, I want to create. And if people get entertained, that's a bonus, right? Even if I can entertain myself, that's it. That's what I'm here for. That's what I was born for. To just enjoy things and make things for people to enjoy. And enjoy making things. And so when all of that comes together, that's when I feel the happiest. And it's not always a very simple journey, of course. It's slow and exhausting and lonely at many times. But I feel like the biggest rewards I got from doing this is understanding myself and what drives me. And a huge amount of respect for the people who do the same thing and are even better at it. I think I yapped for a good amount. And if you want more videos like this, let me know. I have a lot of things to talk about. Perhaps the next time I'll talk about more specific things rather than just rambling. But I had fun. And I hope, if anything, if I didn't entertain you, this is not for entertainment. I hope that this was in some way motivating for you to do what you want to do. Or it was just fun to watch. Or maybe it wasn't. If you're here all the way, thank you. I appreciate it. And I don't know how to end a video. So I'm just going to be looking at you. Bye.